So, good afternoon, everyone. Now we will see the new domain that is a frequency domain analysis. So, previously we have seen the Laplace domain analysis, and we have determined the stability and with the help of Routh-Hurwitz technique and with the help of root locus diagrams. Now we will see the frequency domain analysis. The difference between S domain and the frequency domain is nothing but S is equal to j omega. In the frequency domain, we will use j omega. In the S domain, we will use S. Okay. So if we want to transfer that S domain into frequency domain, then simply substitute S is equal to j omega. So generally, the transfer function can be written as m of S, right? So m of S is the representation in the Laplace domain. This is a closed loop transfer function, and the open loop transfer function is g of S. This is in the Laplace domain. If we want to represent the same closed loop and open loop transfer functions in the frequency domain, what we have to do is just simply substitute wherever you find S, simply substitute or replace that S with j omega. So in the frequency domain, the closed loop transfer function is given as m of j omega. We already have practiced in the root locus step number 6 in order to determine the crossover point on the imaginary axis. We have calculated omega and k. So in that step also we have substituted S j omega in the place of S. Okay, so the same thing we have to do here in the frequency analysis also. So m of j omega, this is the closed loop transfer function representation, and the g of j omega is the open loop transfer function representation. So this is how we can represent closed loop and open loop transfer functions in S domain and in frequency domain. Okay, so this is frequency domain representation and this is S domain representation. And you know what, this conversion or the representation of j omega simply known as a sinusoidal transfer function. So m of j omega is the closed loop transfer function, which is also called as sinusoidal transfer function, where omega determines the frequency of the sinusoidal waveform. Okay, and the frequency domain analysis can be used to determine the stability of both open loop as well as closed loop systems, both open loop as well as closed loop systems. Okay, so for both the systems we can use this frequency domain analysis. This frequency domain analysis have a lot of advantages while performing the stability analysis and all. The number of steps taken to determine the stability, and the plotting of the graph, and the way we bring the instability system into the stable system, all these processes are simpler compared with other stability analysis concepts. And this concept is very much, I mean, frequency domain analysis is very much applicable for the non-linear based control systems also. Non-linear based control systems also. And we have an advantage that if we calculated open loop stability analysis, then that can be applied or that can be applicable to determine the closed loop stability analysis also. So by knowing the open loop stability analysis, we can easily speak about closed loop stability, and vice versa. Means if we know the closed loop stability also, we can easily determine the open loop stability. So that is the one of the advantages with this frequency domain analysis. Now let's get into the domain specifications, frequency domain specifications. Generally, here total 6 domain specifications are mentioned here. The first one is resonant peak, and this resonant peak is denoted by capital M suffix R. Why it is denoted with the M means this resonant peak is related with the closed loop transfer function. This resonant peak is related with closed loop transfer function. So that's why generally we represent the closed loop transfer functions with M of S or M of J omega. That's why here this resonant peak is represented by M suffix R. And the second one is a resonant frequency, which is omega R. Of course, in the frequency domain analysis, the frequency is determined with the letter omega. You have already seen this omega term in the second unit, which is time domain specification also. Of course, we have the relationship between frequency domain and the time domain. And just now I have said the relationship between Laplace domain and frequency domain also. In the Laplace domain, we use S term, and in the frequency domain, we use a J omega term. So the relation between Laplace domain and frequency domain is S is equal to J omega. And you know the relation between time and frequency, right? Right. So the resonant frequency is represented with the omega R, and the third letter is bandwidth. So bandwidth, you know what is bandwidth? It is the band of frequencies. It determines the band of frequencies or range of the range of frequencies. Of course, frequency here, the frequency is determined by omega. That's why bandwidth is also represented with omega suffix B. B determines bandwidth. Here omega suffix R. R represents resonance or resonant frequency. Okay. And coming to the fourth term, that is cutoff rate. And the fifth term is gain margin, represented with capital K suffix G. We know the gain is represented as a capital K, and here the gain margin is represented as K suffix G. And we will have phase margin also. This phase margin is represented by gamma. So these are the 6 frequency domain specifications. Of course, we will look into their definitions also. In the Laplace domain, the stability analysis is determined with the help of linear graphs. So the S-plane is drawn by taking x-axis and the y-axis, x-axis as a real axis, y-axis as imaginary axis. So that graph is called as a S-plane because that is Laplace domain. Here we will draw the graph in the frequency, frequency graph. We will use the frequency graphs to determine the frequency analysis, or to do the frequency analysis, we will plot the graphs in the frequency graph. So you know how to plot the frequency graphs. However, the frequency here in the frequency graph, we have to see 2 things. One is the magnitude graph, let us say, and the second one is the phase graph or the phase plot. 2 things you have to see. One is magnitude, and the second one is phase plot. So these 2 graphs we have to draw in the same frequency plot. Why? Because see, you can see this is j omega domain. This is j omega domain. What is this j? This j represents the complex form. So j represents the complex form. We know if any of the system is represented in the complex form, then it will have the magnitude as well as angle. Suppose the open loop transfer function g of j omega will have the magnitude of open loop transfer function, that is mod of g of j omega. So this modulus represents the magnitude with an angle of g of j omega. We know how to calculate this angle. Generally, this angle theta is the tan inverse of a complex number by real number. Y by x, we can also write a tan inverse of y by x is theta. So with that help, with the theta, we can calculate this angle. So any of the complex system can be represented as the magnitude and phase. So you can see there are two terms. So that's why we have two plots. One is magnitude plot and the second one is polar plot or phase plot. Sorry, not polar plot, it's a phase plot. Phase plot based on the angle, and the magnitude plots based on the gain. So based on the gain and based on the angle, we can plot magnitude and phase plots, right? Now, coming to the definitions of frequency domain specifications, the first one is a resonant peak. So the resonant peak, which is MR, is nothing but the maximum value of the closed loop transfer function. The maximum magnitude of closed loop transfer function is called as a resonant peak. So generally the transfer function m of j omega, this transfer function will have magnitude as well as angle, right? So that magnitude, the maximum value of this transfer function represents the resonant peak, MR. So if this value is high, then we will get large peak overshoot in our output response. And you have seen in the second unit, the first order response, first order system response, second order system response and all. So there you have, what is a maximum peak overshoot and how it will be denoted in the transient response or the complete response of the system. So the magnitude of that peak overshoot, it depends upon the resonant peak. Okay, so resonant peak is nothing but the maximum value of the closed loop transfer function's magnitude, right? And the resonant frequency. So the resonant frequency is nothing but the frequency at which this thing is happened. That means wherever we at frequency where we will get this resonant peak, the frequency where we will get this resonant peak, that frequency is called as a resonant frequency. At which the resonant peak occurs, that frequency is called as a resonant frequency. Okay, so this resonant frequency controls the speed of the transient response. How accurately or how fast we can control the transient response, that can be defined by this frequency. That is our second term. Coming to the third one, that is the bandwidth. So you know what the bandwidth is. Here, the bandwidth is nothing but the range of frequencies, and that range is generally defined as -3 dB. minus 3 dB is the cutoff range for the bandwidth. So the bandwidth can be in between. The bandwidth is the range of frequencies where the frequencies are under minus 3 dB, means the range is between, the range is depends upon the minus 3 dB gain. So minus 3 dB is the cutoff value to determine the bandwidth of the system. So the frequency at which this minus 3 dB occurs is called as cutoff frequency. So at which the minus 3 dB occurs, that frequency is called as cutoff frequency, right? And now the fourth one, that is a cutoff rate. So this cutoff rate depends upon the magnitude of the log function. So we will plot the magnitude plot in the frequency graph. So that magnitude plot can be drawn, that magnitude curve can be drawn with the help of logarithmic value. So the frequency at which, means the cutoff frequency, when will this cutoff frequency will comes with the help of logarithmic magnitude curve, that frequency point is called as cutoff rate. Okay, and this cutoff rate determines the strength of the system, how it overcomes the disturbances, or how much accurately it works to bring the system into the stability. So those things will be determined by this cutoff rate. Generally, by seeing the cutoff rate, the system stability can be, and the system ability can be defined. And gain margin, this is the fifth one. So the gain margin Kg is nothing but the gain has to be added to bring the system from the instability. So how much of gain we have to add to the system to bring the system from the instability. So the gain required to bring the system from the instability is called as a gain margin. So the gain margin is nothing but the magnitude of the reciprocal of open loop transfer function at the crossover frequency, which is called as simply phase crossover. PC is nothing but phase crossover frequency. Okay, so Kg can be determined as the reciprocal, which means 1 by the reciprocal of the magnitude of open loop transfer function. Magnitude is nothing but the modulus of G of j omega at what? At which point? At phase crossover frequency. That's why Kg is equal to 1 by G of 1 by modulus of, this is mod, means only magnitude. So G of j omega at PC, phase crossover frequency. Then what is phase crossover frequency? The frequency at which the phase of open loop transfer function is 180 degree. Open loop angle at which the open loop angle is 180, at that particular point we will have a frequency, right? That frequency is called as phase crossover frequency. So this open loop transfer function angle, when it reaches to 180, the frequency at 180 degree, that frequency is called as phase crossover frequency, right? So we need to calculate the magnitude of the open loop transfer function at phase crossover frequency, and this magnitude is this magnitude is helpful to calculate the gain margin, which is the reciprocal of magnitude of open loop transfer function at phase crossover frequency. Generally, this kg, if we want to represent this kg in the frequency domain, then we will consider 20 log, not in the logarithmic. We will consider the logarithmic to represent this gain in dBs. Generally, in the frequency domain, we have to represent the gain in dBs, decibels. Gain in dBs, we need to represent the gain in dBs. So in order to convert the gain in dBs, we must apply 20 logarithmic. So 20 log, we know what is kg. So 20 log kg means 20 log 1 by modulus of g of j omega p. So this is how we need to calculate kg value, and we need to convert the kg value in decibels or in dBs using 20 log. Right? Similarly, the phase margin. So here, the phase margin is defined as the additional angle required to bring the system from instability. The additional angle required to bring the system from instability. However, this angle can be calculated at a gain crossover frequency. Previously, in the gain concept, we use phase crossover frequency. That means we used phase angle in the gain. Here, reverse. So this phase margin and gain margin both are reverse to each other or vice versa. So you can see here the gain crossover frequency. At the point of gain crossover frequency, we need to determine extra angle to bring the system from instability. So the angle has to be added, and that angle has to be calculated at the gain crossover frequency. So what is this gain crossover? This gain crossover frequency is nothing but the frequency at which the open loop transfer function magnitude is unity. Or simply, if we want to represent that magnitude in decibels or dBs, apply 20 log kg. If the magnitude is unity, that means 20 log 1. 20 log 1 means 0. So wherever that magnitude plot reaches to 0, the frequency at which the magnitude reaches to 0, that point is called as gain crossover frequency. So at that point, the frequency is noted. And you can see here the phase margin gamma can be calculated as 180 plus 5gc, where this 5gc is the angle of the open loop transfer function at gc, means gain crossover frequency. Of course, you know the angle can be represented the angle of g of j omega gc. So this is how we can determine the phase margin. So gain margin and phase margin, right? So these are the formulas or the equations that can be derived for the second order system. So all these are the frequency domain specifications. So for any given second order system, we can calculate a resonant peak, which is MR, that is equal to 1 by 2 zeta square root of 1 minus zeta square. So zeta damping ratio, we know what is the zeta value, how it will varies, and what is the relationship. And for the given value of zeta, we can calculate the resonant peak using this formula, that is 1 by 2 zeta into square root of 1 minus zeta square. And the resonant frequency, can be calculated as omega r is equal to omega n into 1 minus 2 zeta square. So the omega r is nothing but the resonant frequency at which the resonant peak occurs, right? And the bandwidth can also be calculated as omega n into 1 minus 2 zeta square plus square root of 2 minus 4 zeta square plus 4 zeta power 4 under root. Under root is also written as 1 by 2 power, right? And similarly, here the gain margin cannot be calculated because the gain margin of the second order system is always infinity. So the gain margin of the second order system is always infinity. And here we can calculate the phase margin using this expression. So these are the equations for the second order system.